Hey, attorney Kevin Pritchett here. I'm going to bring you this brief but powerfully important training on how to protect your real estate from being lost when you die, to make sure that your heirs can inherit the real estate. Count 'em, three deals came to my office this week with people asking me how to help them. Their parents had died, but they didn't properly title the real estate. They wanted to sell it, but they couldn't because the only property owner on record had died. And it's an especially tricky situation when the owner is a corporation or an entity. Okay, let me run this down. Whether you have a piece of real estate that's owned by an individual or in an entity, you absolutely, positively need to make sure that there's provisions in the title. Well, let me back up. The easiest way to do it is just make sure that if the property is owned by an individual, that it's owned by a trust rather than an individual, a revocable living trust. And then you put in the trust documents who the beneficiaries are. Otherwise, you've got to go to probate. And let me tell you, when you go to probate, you're writing me a check for $5,000 and the costs escalate from there. It could take 9 to 12 months to close a probate estate. That is not the way you want to go. There are some other strategies, affidavit of title, other strategies. Avoid the problem altogether. Put the property in a revocable living trust. The other issue is if the property is owned by an entity, corporation, limited liability company, limited liability partnership, and there's only one owner of that entity, you have to have succession language in the document, in the operating agreement or the bylaws, stating what happens if the owner dies. Otherwise, you have to go to probate, and the corporation doesn't get the entity, the living heirs, and it could be the children of the heirs, spouses. It becomes a real mess. And again, if I have to go to probate to fix it, you're writing checks for $5,000 and the clock is ticking at $300 to $400 to $500 an hour. You don't want that, and I don't want that for you. So make sure you have adequate succession language. That is, who gets the corporation shares or who controls a limited liability corporation when the owner dies. If you need help drafting these documents or having somebody take a look to make sure that everything's okay, contact me at the links below. There's a phone number to call to the office. There's a link to schedule an appointment. But delay is not the answer here. Nothing happens when you delay. Okay? Kevin Pritchett from the Law Office of Kevin Pritchett with another episode of the Keepin' It Real podcast, signing off.